You know, when we think about what drives a big career move, we usually jump to the obvious stuff, right? The biggest salary, the best company, maybe the right team dynamic. But there's this other incredibly powerful force working just under the surface, and it's quietly reshaping the entire map of where top talent decides to plant its flag. And that force is state income tax.
So how does this actually work? How can a few percentage points on a tax form become the make-or-break factor in a multi-million-dollar deal? Well, this goes way beyond just savvy budgeting. It's about a fundamental calculation of what you actually take home. And believe me, it's creating a massive competitive imbalance all across the country.
All right, so to really get to the bottom of this, we're going to break it down. We'll start with the big picture problem, then we'll run the numbers to see the real-world impact. After that, we'll look at how this creates a huge negotiating edge, track the migration patterns it's causing, and finally, we'll talk about how you can apply this logic to your own life.
Okay, first up, the million-dollar tax question. This is where we start to pull back the curtain on the hidden financial currents that are really driving the talent market.
You know, according to folks who've been in the game for decades, we're talking seasoned analysts, legendary coaches, a huge challenge is popping up. Teams and companies based in high-tax states are suddenly finding themselves at a serious disadvantage. Every single offer they make is automatically worth less in real take-home dollars, which means they have to fight that much harder just to stay competitive.
Let's get into the math, because this is where the abstract idea becomes a cold, hard, dollars and cents reality.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The difference is just staggering. Take a state like Massachusetts. It recently added a 4% surtax on top of its existing 5% flat tax for anyone earning over $1 million. So that's a 9% state tax. Now, compare that to a state like Florida, or Texas, or Nevada, where the state income tax is zero. On a $10 million salary, that 9% difference is $900,000 every single year. That's not a one-time thing. Over a 5-year contract, that's $4.5 million gone, just because of your zip code. So what exactly is this surtax we're talking about? Well, think of it like an express lane tax, just for high earners. It's an extra charge that only kicks in after your income crosses a certain line. In this case, $1 million. It's a really important tool that can totally change how appealing a state is for top talent. And all of this leads directly to what we're calling the negotiating edge. Because that 9% difference, it's not just a number on a spreadsheet. It's real power at the bargaining table. I mean, the numbers here are just massive. It's been estimated that one star athlete saved about $2.7 million in state and local taxes in their very first season, just by picking a team in a no-tax state. Think about that. That's a huge financial win that the team itself didn't even have to pay for. And this is absolutely a conscious choice. When one of these athletes was asked why he chose a team in a lower tax area over, say, a glamour market, he was totally blunt about it. He said state taxes were the #1 factor, and he put it perfectly. He had to make a grown-up decision for his family's future. So the big takeaway here is that teams in these no-tax states have this massive built-in structural advantage. It's way easier for them to attract the best free agents, they have an easier time keeping their own stars from leaving, and they can offer what feels like a much higher salary without spending an extra dime. It gives them incredible leverage. And you gotta remember the context here. The average career in the NFL is brutally short. We're talking just over 3 years. For these athletes, their window to earn is incredibly small. So for them, maximizing every single dollar isn't just a nice to have, it is an absolute financial necessity for their long-term security. But look, this isn't just a story about sports. Not at all. Let's zoom out a bit and look at the much bigger pattern of migration that this is causing. At its core, the economic idea here is super simple. When a state decides to raise taxes on its highest earners, those people, who are often the most mobile, they just vote with their feet. And the domino effect for the state they leave behind can be huge.
leading to a shrinking tax base and a brain drain of its most successful people.
And you see this happening across every single industry. It's not just athletes. The list of people making these moves includes tech founders, some of the world's most famous entrepreneurs, big media personalities, even venture capitalists. The simple logic of financial geography applies to anyone with a high income and the freedom to choose where they work.
You can literally trace these paths on a map. They're becoming these well-worn trails of wealth migration. You see this huge flow of money and talent from high-tax states like California out to zero-tax havens like Texas. And it's the same story with people leaving the Pacific Northwest or New England for places like Florida. It's fundamentally reorganizing the country's economic map. So, the big question, what does all this mean for you? Let's bring it all back home and talk about your financial geography and how you can use these same principles no matter what you earn. And here is the single most important insight from all of this. You do not need a multi-million-dollar contract to benefit from this way of thinking. The core idea of geographic arbitrage, just understanding how your location impacts your real take-home pay, is an incredibly powerful tool for anyone making a big decision about their career, their business, or their retirement. Really, you can break it down into 3 simple steps. First, figure out your total tax burden, not just federal, but state and local too. That's where the big differences are. Second, compare your potential after-tax income in different places. And third, consciously make that difference a factor in your big life decisions, whether it's a new job offer, where you want to start a business, or where you plan to retire. And all of this leaves us with one final, really provocative question. As this competition between states gets more intense, with tax policy as the main weapon, it's creating a whole new landscape of winners and losers. Now, the individuals who get this are going to do very well. But what happens to the states they leave behind? And what about the taxpayers who stay? That's the question that's going to shape our economic future for years to come.